Happy 4th of July Eve. Figured I would give some of my friends a tour of my garden area. This is in my backyard, Michigan Zone 6A. Well, first of all, I'm growing a variety of figs here. Believe it or not, you can grow them in Michigan. They do better in pots. Let's see, there's a little bit of production on these 1-year-old. Well, they're not even 1-year-old cuttings. This is a 2-year-old fig tree here. This is Smith. This is probably one of the tastiest varieties, in my opinion, that I've ever had. But I do have some figlets, you like that, forming, and they should ripen with plenty of time left in the season. Having them in pots also gives you the advantage of being able to shuffle them in and out of the garage and protect them from frost. But I'm also growing them in ground. So I planted them on kind of a raised area, sort of a berm, I guess you'd say. Direct planted into compost, and they do really well. A couple of them did not survive the winter, but that's okay. We're just kind of trialing them for hardiness and fruit, and if it doesn't work out, I can sell the cuttings. So there's definitely market for figs out there. So basically what I do is I cut these back, I pile wood chips on top, and I throw a tarp over them in the wintertime, and they seem to do okay for the most part. These will probably get 6 or 7 feet this year, I'd imagine. I'm not sure which ones here I will be getting fruit off of, but it's all part of the experiment. I think this one's going to produce some fruit. This is just a Chicago Hardy from Proven Winners. Nothing exciting, but the fruit tastes good, and, well, I guess they call it Proven Winners for a reason. Anyways, this area used to all be like tall grass and poison ivy and just a mess of invasives and grapevine, and so I did a kind of cut it all down, threw down some cardboard and no tape, of course, and then I put like 12 inches of wood chips, just mixed hardwood on top of it, and smothered it all out, and this is now productive, usable space. For whatever reason, I decided I wanted Asian pears, and I bought 4 different varieties. They would act as a privacy screen, but also, be productive. The deer definitely like browsing this area, so they don't seem to like comfrey. Planted some comfrey in here. Jerusalem artichoke. There's a Schisandra, I think it's called. I was hoping it would just climb up this tree. That's a flowering allium. The name eludes me on this. It's a nitrogen fixer. Speaking of nitrogen fixers, there's this giant autumn olive here. These guys are some type of dwarf mulberry. They seem to have a good amount of vigor. There's actually been quite a bit of fruit off of these, believe it or not, this year. Looks like I almost ate it all. There's a few. Tomato cages helped protect it from the deer for a short time, but they're doing well. That is a Rosa rugosa rose put in over here just to act as another screen to keep the deer away. They don't seem to like the scent of the alliums, and apparently these are pretty toxic to deer, so we just put a few things over here to keep them away from the pear trees, and it seems to have worked so far. There's a service berry here. I think it was Regent. It only gets like 4 by 6 feet. Have some comfrey planted in here with blueberries. This is the sunniest spot in my yard. Probably gets, I don't know, 12 hours. But figured it'd be good for blueberries. Wasn't really expecting much off of these, but here we go. We have some production this year. It's good. I put them basically 2 in a hole for pollination reasons, and just because why not? I've seen people use that method for planting fruit bushes and works fine. Over here, there's another blueberry. There's a row of Ann yellow raspberries. Check them out. They're almost ready. These are the Floricanes from last year. I think there's some Primicanes mixed in here. Got a few honeyberries. There's all down this row here, back over there. I believe they're all different varieties, so hoping to get some good pollination in the future. As you see, I cut some pieces of fence and wrapped them around because the rabbits were just ruthless this spring, just chewing everything down to the ground before things started coming out of dormancy. So I kind of learned a lesson there. But here I have some Caroline raspberries. I transplanted them from another side of the house, and they're doing okay. They're not as vigorous as they were last year, but I suspect that's because of the transplant. I have 2 Goomies here. Got to enjoy a lot of fruit off of both of these. This is the Tillamook variety from One Green World, and honestly, they're awesome. If you've never had Goomies, get them. And this is the variety you want. I believe Carmine or Tillamook. They're much larger than the small berries that the other varieties have, and obviously larger berries, you get to enjoy them more. These are Jewel black raspberries. I did have black raspberries growing here, but I figured I'd purchase some named varieties. Got a nice cane coming out here. Hopefully it leans down and tip roots. Got a vigorous little gooseberry here that I started from cutting last winter. Doing really well. Got I think this is a red currant. Yep. Jonker Van Tetz. Small gooseberry growing here. Another honeyberry. Just kind of an odd one. I just bought it. I didn't plan on where I was going to put it. But we'll see. These ones are kind of growing on a mound. Probably doesn't really affect these much, seeing how these are more colder weather enjoying fruits. The currants, I know they don't love being baked by the sun, and I'm sure on this mound the soil temperatures are a little bit higher, but this is all just an experiment, so we'll see what happens. Got some black currants here. Ate a few of them. They're interesting if you never had a black currant before. It's a interesting fruit. A little tray of comfrey and some basil. Some sunflowers that were given to me. I don't think these are a large variety, but planted them in a cluster. I've got asparagus growing here. Got to harvest it for the first time this year, and it was awesome. Totally worth it. There's a few smaller ones you can barely see that are growing over there, right in front of this giant broccoli plant. Definitely have enjoyed these red currants. Another underrated fruit in my opinion. Tastes good. This is lupine or lupin. It's a nitrogen fixing plant. They get pretty big. Not sure the color on these ones. This is another red currant. Started from cutting 2 years ago, but it's doing pretty well. This is a fig that just keeps coming back. I don't really need it. I don't start it early. These ones I start with a low tunnel to get them going in mid-March. Probably started a little too late this year. I don't think I started till April, but part of the experiment. I like fresh figs. If you never had one before, it's quite the fruit experience. This is the strawberry patch. Super productive, almost overwhelming. There's 3 different types. This group right around here is June bearing, so they'll be done for the rest of the year. There's still a few lingering strawberries, but back there I have Mara de Bois. Those are the real winner. Definitely recommend those. There's some blueberries growing in this row. You can almost see some clusters. A few different varieties here. When I started this, I had not envisioned that I would kill off all this grass over here and in the back. So I threw some perennials inside this annual garden space, which I don't regret. Some tomatoes. Maybe I'll do a video going over these some other time. Got some cucumbers, garlic. Yeah, let's go over here. These right here are notable. These are ground cherries, and I'm not sure if you've ever grown them before, but there's volunteers everywhere because it's just insane the amount of production that these ground cherries have. If there was a food crop to end world hunger, it would be these things. They just can take the abuse of the summer and heat, and I don't know, they seem like the seedlings are popping up all over the place, even outside the garden. Nothing too crazy here. I guess I'll highlight these blackberries. I have some growing here. There's one crawling across the ground. It's actually not supposed to grow in our zone, but it survived the winter by doing that. Got the variety. These blackberries are, I don't know, they just seem like winners with the hot summer that we get now, and they're just super vigorous. These are all new canes. There were only a couple of old canes, and they're just cranking out the flowers. Definitely good for a warmer climate, which Michigan seems to be going in that direction. I'll probably get more of these if I can. I think I got these for like $1 a piece. These 3 from Lowe's. They're a thornless variety. This back area here, I have a Tom Cord seedless grape. It's kind of like a Concord. They actually do have seeds, and the seeds are spicy, which is strange. I've bought these at the store before, so I was happy to get a plant and grow it myself. These are some European elderberries. I don't have a home yet. Jujubes. A little disappointing. I've noticed a lot of things from One Green World kick the bucket for no reason, but the graft died, so rootstock is coming back. I need to find a home for these. I think they actually got too much water, which seems crazy. I haven't watered them, but we went through a period of time where it was raining a lot. Got some Egyptian walking onions here. Probably move these outside of the garden area. They don't really need to be in here. I don't think anything's gonna bother them. Got some oregano. Might regret this later. Sage. Awesome for attracting pollinators. This is a jostaberry or yostaberry. Just getting established here. People mention how vigorous they are. This one hasn't been super vigorous, but this is bee balm, which I'm really surprised because I started this from seed in February and I have blooms on it. It's kind of amazing. Didn't expect it to grow that fast. Have another rhubarb here. I'll make space for it in the future. I know obviously these get pretty large, but there is some, I believe that's fennel. It's kind of hard to tell. There's like dill and fennel growing everywhere. These are, I started from cuttings. They are Primark Freedom raspberries, or I'm sorry, blackberries. Supposedly you can get fruit on first year canes from these, but we'll see. A couple of them here, tiny, lots of peas. Now, the annuals aren't too interesting, but figured I'd mention them. Go back here to, this is my vineyard area, I guess you'd say, / nursery stock. I have American hazelnut here, service berry, a couple forsythias, desert king figs. These are blue experiment potatoes. And some goji berries. I need to find a home for these. I'm going to eventually find a home for all this stuff. This is a bluebell grape here. It's a seeded grape, but I mean, it's looking pretty decent. There's a lot of clusters on here and the grapes are starting to swell up, so pretty cool for a second year grape. These ones did not come out of dormancy, but you can kind of see the idea of what I was thinking of doing here. I was going to train these up. There's 2 different tiers here, but successfully trained it across here. This is a Niagara grape, and I have 1 branch growing up this way, so we'll keep them contained. Eventually I'll get some replacement grapes and they'll have their own like 6-foot long area with a couple tiers. So yeah, I'll probably do another video on my orchard area in the front. That's in the front of the house. This is the back. Not sure if I mentioned that. This huge tree here, this is a sunburst locust, and it is like over the house and the deck. We're gonna renovate the deck later this year, so sadly I think we're gonna take the tree down. It's a beautiful tree. I think it adds a lot of character to the house, but the deck is like totally dysfunctional when it's covered in twigs and leaves. I think we have some kind of disease around here where this thing just drops leaves all summer long. Also, I believe these are Norway spruces. They're kind of they're not planted ideally. They're pretty close to one another, and they suffer from a lot of disease, and I believe there's even some sort of pine borer that affects them. So these might be gone in the future too, which is okay. It opens up a lot of sunlight for more fruit trees and maybe expand the garden. So, and of course I'll use all the mulch, so it won't go to waste. But anyways, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. See ya.